This is part 3 of the last day of summer. A view? Otto asked. He twisted away slightly. No, a fry maybe. This view of the city is spectacular. Hefting the camera, Otto tested the weight. Heavy, almost uncomfortably so. Somehow, that made it feel more valuable. How could he not honor the request of a man who gave it to them? Sure, why not? Otto, she'd said, uncertain, but without a good solid reason. When he didn't go on, Otto shrugged and raised the camera's viewfinder to eye level. The lens was amazing, so clear, almost clearer than looking at Fry through his own two eyes. With his index finger, he found the shutter release. Press here? Yes, Mr. Flux said, joyful. Just like that. Otto nodded and pressed the button. Click. There was a flash in the viewfinder, a blinding white light visible for a second when a motorized whir from inside the camera. Otto lowered it, confused. Sheed was next to him in an instant, hearing it too. A stiff plastic square, white border, black center, unspooled from the slit along the camera's front. Sheed pulled a filmy paper free. Already, the black center lightened familiar images of county landmarks brightening into view. That photo, Mr. Flux said, will be an eternal keepsake of the day. Would you like a similar photo of yourselves? She'd stared at the photo in his hand and saw no reason to object. Otto gave the camera to Mr. Flux. Excellent, he said. Squeeze in tight. I want to get all of you. Otto beamed and twisted to his right side, his good side. He looped an arm over Sheed's shoulder, hoping his cousin didn't have the usual awkward smile. Their picture had been in Logan County Gazette a bunch of times, and Sheed always looked like he was trying to suck broccoli from his teeth. Mr. Flux raised the camera. On 3. 1, 2, another flash, not from the camera, from the sky. A blinding electric blue hole ripped the very air between Mr. Flux and the man ejected from it feet first, as if from the end of a steep water slide. He kicked Mr. Flux, knocking the camera free. Before Mr. Flux recovered, the stranger scrambled to his feet, whipping his head around, startled and confused. He was brown like the boys, wore goggles, cinched tight through a mane of coiled dreadlocks that whipped about as he got his bearings. Did it work? Is this the right day? He said, his eyes resting on Otto and then Sheed. For a moment, his face flickered, the confusion replaced with a slight smile. Then he glanced sideways to the man kicked over. Flux? Mr. Flux began to rouse, but the stranger leapt to him, pinning him or trying to. The pair rolled in the grass. The way they grappled, it didn't seem like the stranger would be able to hold Mr. Flux very long. His dark goggles angled in their direction. He yelled, "Take the picture and run. Whatever you do, don't take any more pictures."